years, Kodak was a trusted brand for everything film, and even though they were the first to create the digital camera, their reluctance to go digital led to a tumultuous path in the new millennia that inevitably led to their demise. In 2013, they managed to climb out of bankruptcy and set their sights on a comeback with a modern Super 8 film camera. This bizarre, seemingly niche product that might be digital but not fully digital is a bit of an oddity, and one that has yet to be released by Kodak years after it was announced. Will this camera ever be released, or is it just another ill-conceived and dead product of a company that has tried desperately to be relevant in the 21st century? Find out today on our Abandoned Camera series. I've received countless comments about how sad I make people feel all the time when I make these Abandoned Camera series videos. And yeah, it makes me pretty sad too. That's why the sponsor for today's video is Shaker and Spoon, to help us take the edge off of these sad stories with their excellent boxes that will help you to make cocktails that, let's be honest, I don't have the time, you don't have the time to find ingredients for making all these fancy drinks. Everything is sent in this nifty little box that can make up to 12 cocktails, which is enough for one drink per Abandoned Camera episode so far. This box even comes with instructions to teach you about all the different tools and terms for making that perfect drink. Use my link in the description box below and my code Voyager to get $20 off your Shaker and Spoon subscription today. I think you'll probably need it for these future episodes. Now, let's get back to some abandoned cameras.
As every mother knows, and fathers too, youngsters grow up much too fast. That's why every family needs a Kodak Instamatic movie camera. The camera that's so easy to load and so easy to use. Outdoors or in, even a busy mother can do it. It costs less than $40 and can save the joy of Christmas and happy months to come.
You press the button, we do the rest. A simple promise of convenience and the slogan George Eastman chose to run with, leading the Kodak revolution. From dry plates all the way up to film photography, Eastman Kodak prides itself in making the art of photography as easy as the pencil.
I'm happy to greet this gathering of motion picture engineers. It is a great satisfaction to be able to speak to you through the medium of this wonderful invention, the talking film. During the past 50 years, I have witnessed with the greatest interest and satisfaction the growth of the motion picture industry.
Kodak's promise of simplicity splashed over into the home video market, especially with the introduction of the Super 8mm format in 1965, which eliminated the need to thread the film into the camera. Instead, you would just load a cartridge and start shooting.
One Christmas, I'm going to get a Kodak movie camera for me and that son of mine. One Christmas, I'll get a Kodak XL movie camera, the kind that doesn't need movie lighting. Or maybe I'll get a new Kodak sound movie camera, Ectosound, that's what they call it. One Christmas soon, I'm going to get a Kodak movie camera for this grandson of mine, and for me.
Don't wait for one Christmas to get a Kodak XL or Ectosound movie camera, because one Christmas may be too late.
George Eastman's idea of foolproof photography became a reality in modern times thanks to digital camera technology, allowing anyone to just press a button without worrying about sending rolls of film to a lab in order to get them developed, edited, and published. But surprisingly, Kodak was not part of the digital revolution, and instead of following in their founder's footsteps embracing change, Kodak decided to not take the plunge into the digital realm, focusing their efforts on bettering film and print through digital enhancements. This is quite odd, considering the first actual digital still camera was developed by Eastman Kodak engineer Stephen Sasson in 1975.
I like to kid people that if I had known anybody would have been interested in this camera 30 years later, we would have made it a lot prettier. If you saw the camera, it's kind of an odd collection of circuit boards in a steel frame with a blue box sitting on top and a lens sticking out. And the camera weighs about 8.5 pounds, and as I remember, it's about 8 inches wide and 6 inches deep and about 9 inches high. So about the size of a small toaster.
It's fascinating the decision not to try and develop this like many others did in the industry, like Arri, Canon, and Panavision. This decision did come with a price. While everyone else jumped on the digital train, Kodak willingly stood behind, causing the company to accumulate debts and ultimately file for bankruptcy protection in 2012. There's a lot that goes into the story of Kodak's demise as a major player in the industry, and we will definitely get to that in another video. But $4.1 billion in debt were erased thanks to creditors' overwhelming support of Kodak's plans to step away from film and photography and largely focus its efforts on printing for corporate customers. This led to a very different Kodak, a Kodak that will most definitely not be the same film juggernaut as it once was, at least for now, which makes the announcement of a new Super 8 Kodak camera even more surprising.
Kodak here is showcasing our licensed products and the products that we are now making for consumer. So some of our great licensed products are batteries and light bulbs, some very, very exciting new LED light bulbs that save on energy. We also have home monitors, security systems, and so forth. But perhaps the most exciting thing in CES 2016 for Kodak is that we are announcing the first consumer product from Kodak in many years. In fact, the first camera for motion picture since 1982, and it is the new Super 8 camera. It'll be available later this year, and it's a symbol to what Kodak cares about in our commitment to film.
Like other Super 8 cameras, Kodak's aptly named new Super 8 camera uses film cartridges as a storage medium, which have a recording time of around 3 minutes depending on what the frame rate is selected on.
So it is capturing film on one of these little cartridges, which contains 50 feet of film. It will be inserted here into the camera, and once the film has been inserted, you can select here on the menu that you have inserted a new cartridge. So you can define which film type you are using, and in this case we have a 200 tungsten stock. So that means you select here in the menu we are using a 200T, and say create. So now the setup of the camera has been done, and you see the zero feet indicates it's a new cartridge.
The camera also makes use of digital audio recording that is saved on SD cards while you're filming. As 8mm film normally has no audio recording capabilities, although Super 8mm sometimes featured a magnetic tape in the cartridge which could record audio in conjunction with the movie recordings, but with this camera, it comes bundled with a detachable microphone which is linked to the SD card for audio recordings, allowing the camera and the videographer to use any microphone you want. The camera is powered by an internal battery which is charged by connecting a USB cable and charging it for over 3 hours. An interesting upgrade from the traditional Super 8 cameras, and a feature film enthusiasts might be excited about, is the ability to record on Super 8mm film gauge, which possesses a larger image gate, allowing you to capture a wider image than traditionally possible. The camera comes bundled with C-mount lenses and can also be swapped out with other C-mount lenses you may already possess, and recording can be achieved through pulling the trigger on a pistol grip or by pressing the record button on the top of the handle. The new Super 8 camera is an odd hybrid camera, but not only due to its mixed video and audio recording formats, but also due to the fact that the camera allows the operator to preview the footage as you're filming on an LCD screen.
So it's a film camera. That means you can change the frame rate from 18 to 24 frames per second, 25 frames per second. And the camera itself, it's new in that perspective that it's the first time that we are merging analog film capture with some digital tools. Digital tool means we are capturing internally with the optical bypass to a digital camera that we have a LCD viewfinder. So it makes it obvious that now a Super 8 camera does not have to be in front of your eye when you're shooting. You can really carry the camera in different positions because you have a viewfinder as an LCD display, which makes it much easier to carry and to shoot with the camera.
This is possible thanks to a sensor being situated somewhere in the front of the camera, most likely mounted in front of the shutter to block light without damaging the film behind it, and also to preview the image while not actively recording. Sadly, recording a digital backup while film is recorded is not possible, as the sensor only exists in order for the camera operator to see what they are filming on the articulating LCD screen. While this seems like a bit of a missed opportunity, being able to preview exactly what you shoot digitally on internal or an external screen is a luxury for analog filming. Kodak Kodak also thought of an interesting ecosystem that would come with the purchased film cartridges. Every cartridge can be sent to Kodak to get developed and scanned in high resolution. The videographer would then receive the developed film by mail and could download the digital video files from a cloud service. The scanned film is then synced in post with the digitally captured audio by the filmmaker. This service, though, is of course not free, and the service fees would potentially come bundled with a purchased cartridge of film. The estimated price of a film cartridge bundled with service fees would range at around $50 to $75, roughly $30 to $40 for the roll of film itself, and an estimated $20 to $30 on top for the service fee. And while this seems like a pretty hefty price for just 3 minutes of recording time, it would be pretty familiar to those who film with film all the time. What is most baffling, though, is the price of the camera itself. When the camera was first announced in 2016, Kodak estimated the cost of the new Super 8 camera to lie in the ballpark of about $400 to $750. After years of delay and multiple added features, the price of the camera was updated to be about $2,500 to $3,000, almost triple the price of the original estimate, a price tag which Super 8 fans and even some online publications like Gizmodo have criticized. With the camera being partly marketed towards film students and a newer generation of people who harbor an interest in retro technology, this price seems to be pretty steep for the target demographic Kodak is trying to reach. Additionally, Kodak's new Super 8 camera would directly compete with vintage camera systems that can be bought at a fraction of the price in online stores, or which can be found in a relative's basement. Since film has to be developed anyways, and audio has to get synced in post no matter what, many would probably just get an old camera off of eBay and use an external audio recorder with the camera. I mean, honestly, at $3,000, you could buy a mirrorless camera and just use film emulation, as sacrilegious as that sounds. While a huge price spike and an overconfident Kodak and promises of the camera releasing soon for years, there's only one question left to ask. Was this new Super 8 camera abandoned? The camera's product overview still exists on Kodak's website, but other than that, Kodak went radio silent regarding any news about the Super 8 camera. Maybe Kodak realized that they were a bit overconfident with their camera, or maybe the company still hasn't given up and might be refining the camera further for release at some time in the future. Or maybe the camera together with the Super 8 ecosystem might be in development hell, with Kodak trying to figure out how the scanning and the cloud storage solutions are supposed to work out for the consumer in reality. For trying to make photography as easy as the pencil, the new Super 8 camera got a lot of convoluted issues laid in its path, making it unclear if we will ever see this unusual film camera hit the storefronts anytime soon. And with it being over 8 years since they announced this camera, I think it's safe to say that this camera has been abandoned by Kodak at this point. But speaking of bizarre and complicated cameras, have you ever seen what a 3D beam splitter camera looks like? See how James Cameron has revolutionized the beam splitter camera over the years and how it's working for the Avatar movie coming out here soon.